So today I'm going to show you how I use conditional formatting to color code my data for me so that I don't have to go in and highlight and color code each data sheet. So I make one big Google Sheet for each of the subtests that we do on our early literacy profile assessment that we give at my school. And it has uppercase, lowercase, sounds, high frequency words, rhyming, tons of skills. This is just a sample sheet that I've started to demo how to use conditional formatting. So for the uppercase and lowercase, I've already done it and put in some made up data here, but it shows you my color scheme that I've chosen is red is well below grade level, yellow is below grade level, blue is almost getting there, and green is once they're on target. I shoot for the end of the year goals so I know where I still need to focus my attention and where I can kind of move on. When everybody's green in letters, that's not something I really need to focus on anymore. If I've got just two kids that aren't green, then I need to review it with them and get them to green by the end of the year. So green's kind of shooting for my goal. So how do you set that all up? So I created another sheet. So each of these little tabs represents a sheet within the giant sheet, if that makes sense. Just by hitting this plus key, you can make a new sheet and then you can click on the arrow to rename it. But I've already created this one for sounds. I copy and pasted my student list. That's something I do each year. I make each of the tabs and I copy and paste on my student list. And actually, once you create your first sheet, you can just use the same sheet each year, delete the data, and put in your new class list, and all the conditional formatting will already be created for you. So this is a one-time deal. But here's how you do it. So you can do it for each of your sheets and make it work for you. You really need to know your target ranges and what your color scheme is going to be. So basically, I've said red is well below. So I've created what numbers I want to focus on for red, yellow, blue is my almost there, and green is on target. We have 28 letter sounds because we use we make the students learn two sounds for C and two sounds for G. Make them. We introduce those and we expect them to have them. So if you go to format and conditional formatting is right there. And basically you're going to make a bunch of rules for each color. So I have red, yellow, blue, and green. I need 4 rules. So my first rule is that if it is less than 10, I want that to be red. That's oh my goodness, we're nowhere near where we need to be. Really focus your attention on this. So I do less than, I do 10, and I chose the color red. So now I'm going to add my rule for yellow. If I put in 10 to 22, I want it to turn yellow. 10 up to 22. So if I use is between, 10 to 22 is actually between 9 and 23. It says is between, and it doesn't say including, it just says is between. And I'm going to turn those yellow. And then my next rule is going to be if it's anywhere from 23 to 27. So if my data that I enter is between, and I said 23, so I'm going to do 22. So if it's between 22 and 28, I would like it to turn blue. It tells me like they're on the right track, they're almost there, they're just not quite there yet. So they might just have a few more to learn. And then if it is equal to, so when I have my target, it's going to be equal to. Sometimes for something like letter sounds, that's it. I'm only going to ask that many. I'm not going to check anymore. For something like high frequency words, I might say if it's greater than, because my target might be 65, but students could have 100 words, they could have 200 words. So if it's greater than might be another rule that I use. But in this case, if it's equal to 28, that's the most they can get on the assessment, then I'm going to turn it green. So once you have all your rules in there, it is now time to check and see if you did it right. So I always test it first. This is gonna show me my last rule. There it is. So you can test it with some fake data, which is easy, but let's just pretend this was the beginning of the year. It will sometimes color code your date depending on the rules you put in. Because it's a numerical data. So let's pretend at the beginning of the year, Joe didn't know any letter sounds. And Bob knew some letter sounds, but not a ton. Some kids come in with more. And it's slowly choosing the color because my computer is updating very slowly to get all these conditional formatting rules in, but you will see that. I'm going to show you conditional formatting for each one. I would test, especially your high and your low, to make sure that it color codes right. And if it would update faster than you would see if I did it right. But as you could see, all I did was type in the data, and then the conditional formatting uses the rules to color code it for you. And once you test it, you can make sure it's right. Sometimes I have to tweak a rule if I didn't do the right for betweens. For instance, I want to make sure that a 10 is going to turn yellow, which it does, and that a 23 is also going to turn yellow. So once you test all that data and you know it's going to be ready, you might decide, oh, I don't really like that blue. You can easily change the color just by going over. You can easily get rid of a rule just by hitting the little trash can that appears when you highlight over it. Something to keep in mind that I learned is if you copy this sheet to make a new sheet, instead of just hitting the plus, it's going to take all this conditional formatting and copy it to that new sheet. So if you're making a whole bunch of sheets because you have a whole bunch of skills, I recommend making all the sheets first, putting your class list on each one, and then going back through and conditional formatting each of the sheets based on the skill and the numbers that you have targeted for that skill. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye.